and shown an interest within the sport. For those that don't know, my name's Ian Gillan. I'm the coach of LALITPUR City, and I'm very proud to be coaching young Nepalese national team players like ANANTA. And presently we've got 4 national team players in our squad. We've got 5 foreign players, and the rest is made up of, I think we've got 2 under-19 national team players, and 1 presently training with us is the captain of the under-16 team. So whether he comes into the squad or not, that's time will tell over the next 24 hours. Is that enough for you? ask any questions you want, that's why we're here.
But as you mentioned yourself, you have 4 national team players, foreign players, and looking at, there's pressure around you, touting you as the title challengers. Do you feel that?
I think there's pressure on every coach that's here, not just me. I think every team's probably they work within a budget, and everybody will be as balanced as possibly one another. Every team, every coach, his ambition or his vision is to win the competition. Every game's going to be difficult. It's not going to be an easy game. The short turnaround, is it ideal? No, it's not. But unfortunately, this is the style of league that we've got. So we've got to try, from our perspective as LALITPUR, we've got to try and get the rehabilitation, we've got to get the physiotherapists working overtime so that we can patch up players ready for the next game. I mean, if it was a longer competition and we had like 6 days, 7 days until the next game, the players would regenerate better, and then you would possibly have a better product. But as it is at the moment, in this format, we've got every 2-3 days, we've got a game. It's not the ideal, but as a start for like, season 2, we're going somewhere. And I say we, because I'm including myself. Even though I'm a foreign person, I'm including myself, pushing Nepal football as far forward as I possibly can. If I can assist players like ANANTA to improve slightly more, small percentage, like 2%, 5%, that's good for Nepal, that's good for the national team, that's good for us to fulfill a possible dream of playing in a World Cup final series. And that's what we've really got to be here. That's what we've got to do here. As a group of coaches, we've got to try and educate, we've got to try and improve the quality of the players for whomever the national team coach is, whether he's a local or a foreigner, so that he's got the biggest pool of quality national or Nepalese football players to select from. And that's one of my things. I'm quite big on, can we create a pathway for the younger generation? Because we, as a nation, and I say we again, we've got to try and push Nepal football in the positive way. Yeah, there's a lot of negative people, right? But you're always going to get that. You get it at Liverpool, you get it at Manchester City, you've always got that. But we've got to try and create the best league, and NSL is the best league that we've got here. We've got to embrace it, we've got to support it, we've got to try and get supporters bums on seats, and we just got to try and generate interest in the sport. And if we do that as a group, then we're positive. If I can do that as a coach, I've done my job, and so have the other fellow 8 coaches that are coaching the teams. And I can't wait to get started, because I want to interact with other coaches and speak to them about what we can do to try and make football better.
Marquee player like प्रश्न छ
फर्स्ट म्याच वर्ल्ड कप क्वालिफायरको फर्स्ट म्याच इन्जुरीको कारणले चाहिँ मैले गुमाउनु परेको थियो होइन. सो मसँग अलिकति म्याच फिटनेसको कमी थियो, भनौँ न. इन्जुरीमा रिकभर हुनुको लागि चाहिँ मैले रेस्ट गर्नुपर्ने थियो. र त्यसपछि ब्याक भइसके पछाडि चाहिँ मलाई खेल्दाखेरि चाहिँ अलिकति मेरो वर्कलोड धेरै भएर चाहिँ क्र्याम्प भएको थियो. त्यो चाहिँ जस नर्मलै छ अहिले.
लास्ट टाइम क्याप्टेन्सी गरेर चाहिँ ए डिभिजन लिग जिताउनु भएको थियो. योपालि फर्स्ट टाइम खेल्दै हुन्छ एनएसएल, कतिको होपफुल हुन्छ?
होपफुल भन्दा पनि धेरै नै मिहिनेत गर्नुपर्ने छ किनभने एनएसएलमा धेरै नै क्वालिटी प्लेयर्सहरू डोमेस्टिक प्लस फरेन प्लेयर्सहरू एकदम क्वालिटीको छ। मैले जहाँसम्म न्युज हेरेको सबै क्लबले चाहिँ एकदमै क्वालिटी प्लेयर्सहरू भित्राउनु भएको छ। सो यो एकदमै च्यालेन्जिङ हुन्छ सबै क्लबको लागि। हामीले आफ्नो ठाउँबाट 100% दिनेछौँ यो टाइटल जित्नको लागि। सो हामी होपफुल छौँ, हामीले त्यही अनुसार मिहिनेत पनि गरिरहेछौँ। आशा छ रिजल्ट राम्रो आउनेछ भनेर।
My question to Ian, what is your perspective regarding Nepali football and especially the resources we have?
Ooh, I've got to be politically correct here. When I first came here, and I've been in Southeast Asia, as you probably all know, I've been in Southeast Asia now for 10 years, and I've been in Australia the rest of the time. When I first came here, I looked at the training ground, and I went to Lusa. I went, "Do you hear the lions? And do you hear the elephants?" And he says, "What do you mean?" I says, "Well, I think I hear them in that corner there, the corner flag." I says, "Because it was like a jungle." I says, "Is this where we train?" And he went, and I said, "Well, we've got to try and improve this. We've got to try and set a benchmark that the training facility is better. So we've got to get this cut and tidied up." But I can see that there's mass potential here. But we've got to have an investment in facilities because there's just not enough facilities of quality. I mean, we talk about 3G, 4G, 5G now in regards to synthetic pitches. If we could get more of those pitches in here in Nepal, sponsored by, say it not, local governments and things like municipalities, councils, it would be really, really positive because you could then invest in grassroots football. Because a tree doesn't just appear at the top, it grows from the bottom upwards. It's just like a football player. Once upon a time, he was 10 years of age, 11, 12, 13, now he's playing in the national team. So we've got to try and put an investment into grassroots football so that at the end, you're producing a better product. And that's my initial thoughts on the football, because you don't see lots of kids playing football on the pitches and that. And that's what we need to do. We need to encourage the younger generations. And it happens, and we're all responsible for it. We've all got to take a bit of responsibility here. We've got to try and push for the game. We wanted to qualify for the World Cup, is that correct? Yeah. But to do that, we've got to produce a better quality player so that we can achieve that objective. And unfortunately, we're always going to be swimming against the tide. Until we get good facilities, good pitches so that we can train on, it's always going to be difficult to produce good players. Does that answer your question?
Mostly, yeah.
Mostly? Oh, come on, ask me the next question then.
Okay, so of course it's a developing country you're working in, and it's a new model that you're working in. But I think there can be much more than this, especially expecting from let's say a franchise model. You're working in a franchise model. So what do you have to say about that? And also another question to you is that, is it...
Let me answer the first one because I'll forget what the next bit is.
Okay, tell us about that then.
The franchise model is really, really good because there's not a lot of money coming from the governing body of the game here. So the franchise model is the correct model to have. We need to embrace this now. We've got to embrace that people have put in large quantities of money to produce a quality league, or the best quality league we possibly can. And I take my hat off to my big boss. I was with him today, and he was saying, "Oh, you know, we've got to look at this, we've got to look at that." I said, "Yeah, that's it. Every day I talk to him, or he talks to me. But we are responsible." And I'll go to the coaches. In Spain, grassroots football's massive, is it? It is it? Here, it's not so big. But if we want to create players like in Spain, we've got to have the tools, we've got to have the pitches, we've got to have the coaches. So if we invest money in facilities and invest money in coach education, you're going to produce a better player, which then is going to give you more chance of playing in a World Cup. And I think that's the objective. And I think as a local coach, you need to be encouraged. And if we can get some kind of funding for the local coaches, because the coaching qualifications, it costs a lot of money to do it. So if we can get a programme that embraces coach education, and we can create a coach education pathway, the better coaches we'll have, the better children, the better young players we're going to have. And it's like the chicken and the egg. What comes first? Is that okay? The second question.
Yes. So also, I think you've witnessed much. Do something beyond NSL as well, since you already can.
Oh, okay. My boss has got big plans for LALITPUR. He's big supporter of schools, grassroots, senior football. They are trying to develop a pathway for young players, and they're going to try and, after the NSL, they're going to look at trying to do things with Gold Cups, and they're going to try and look at doing something with youth development programs. I'm sure other clubs would agree that that's the pathway that we should be going down. The biggest problem is finance. Where do we get the backers to do this? But I'm sure, and you spoke wonderfully there, I think that what you're trying to do in your club is fantastic. What you're trying to do in your club is fantastic. What you're trying to do in your club is brilliant. But we've all got to come together with the one vision, and we've all got to go forward. Now, you think I'm maybe trying to sound clever. I'm not clever. I'm not clever at all. But I'm trying to embrace Nepalese football so that we can go forward, and we can go forward as a mass group. And this is what the NSL is all about. It's a franchise league that can we push this to another level, to the upper echelons? Can we go from here to there? And then in the next World Cup qualification, have we got enough good young players to embrace people like ANANTA and about some of the other young up-and-coming stars that we've possibly got? Does that make sense?
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, coach.